So today we're going to be talking about the 10 skills you need to land your first Flutter job. Alright, so a little bit of background about Flutter. Alright, Flutter was started in 2017 and it is being used by over 3,000 companies all over the world, and most of these companies adopted Flutter in the last 2 years, and that's to tell you that Flutter has really grown, it has really evolved, and it has become more acceptable, and it's really growing by the day, definitely. And so as a result of these, so many Flutter devs are needed, and the demand for Flutter devs really increased and improving the last 2 years. So I'm going to be showing you the 10 skills you need to land your first Flutter job. Let's say you're switching to Flutter, you're already a developer switching to Flutter, or you're starting Flutter as your first programming um skill and all. Yeah, so this is definitely for you. All right, so the first thing you need to understand is widgets. What are widgets? We hear people say Flutter is all about widgets. Is it really about widgets? So what are widgets? You need to understand the difference between stateless and stateful widgets. You need to understand build context and what exactly it is and how it works. You also need to understand widget lifecycle. You also need to understand how and when to use states, how to manipulate states to your advantage. Another thing you need to understand is containers. Most Flutter apps work with container. Container are very flexible, they are very helpful, they are very dynamic, so you can custom them to your needs, whatever you want to use them for. You can custom them to your use case depending on what design you're trying to implement. All right, so you need to understand containers. You also need to understand app bars. You will definitely need it. It comes in handy because the Flutter team did most of the heavy lifting for you, so they using the app bars make your work easier and faster. Okay, and you also need to understand list views. Okay, so list views, basically what it does is it makes your life really easy. If you're coming from a native Android background or React Native background, list view in Flutter would be like this solution, because you just need minimal code and everything renders for you, like it just renders for you. So you need to understand how to use the power of list views to your advantage. You have the list view builder, you have the custom list view, you have the list view separated. So all of these are uniquely built to make your life easy. You also need to understand how to use future builders and why you need them and how exactly you use them, because it's really save you tons and tons of unnecessary boilerplate codes. So this will make your network calls easy. Okay, all right, so the next one on our list is stream builders. All right, so stream builders is similar to the future builder, just at this time you're dealing with streams. So based on the state of the stream at that point in time, based on the value you're getting, you know what to render to your users. So understanding stream builders will make your life really easy and really help you in getting your first Flutter job. All right, so another skill you need to know about is text field. Yeah, this is very important because you get inputs from users. You want to validate, say you want to validate if their email address is valid. This is where you do it. You also want to validate if their password is alphanumeric. All right, so this is also where you do it. So you need to understand how to style it to suit the application or to suit the design you're working on. You also need to understand how to validate inputs, and you also need to validate how to limit inputs. Say for instance, for the first name, you don't want people having more than 100 characters. You want to limit inputs. All right, because I don't really think anyone's first name is more than 100 characters. I really doubt so. You want to like add some validation to that, so this is actually where you do that. All right, so the next is understanding state management. Yeah, if you're a member of the Flutter community, you understand that this is a very hot topic, the state management topic. Yeah. So you really need to understand how to use either of these two. Either of these two actually works for you perfectly. You don't need to know everything. Just understand how to use block or understand how to use Flutter. Either of these can land you your first Flutter role. So basically, you need to understand how to use it, how to manage your states. You also need to know how to manipulate your states how to move from one state to the other, how to move values from one state to the other, and how to render your UI based on the state. Once you're able to master that, trust me, you're on the verge of getting your first Flutter job. Alright, so the next on our list is understanding how to make network calls. Yeah, it's very important because you just don't want to limit your app to your current scope. You want to make API calls, fetch data, show data to the user, and all of that. And it comes in very handy. So you need to understand how to use either the DO package or the HTTP package. Those are like the two most popular packages for API calls in Flutter. So you need to understand how to make those requests. You also need to understand how to create models, because after you've made your API call, you need to pass the data you've gotten into something, and that thing is called model. So you need to understand how to create model, how to pass your requests, your response into your models. I also need to understand how to manage your API call when the request fails. Okay, all right. So the next on our list is you need to understand how to install packages. Very important, and very important because you really cannot be the one doing everything. There are sometimes you need to install packages. So packages are basically like code written by others that helps to perform a particular task. So sometimes you need to install packages. You need to understand how to find packages. You also need to understand how to install them and how to use them. And another thing I want to like encourage is you need to really get comfortable reading the readme of those packages, because most of the packages on PubSpec, I think the author really did a great job in explaining how to use them. So it's very important to explain to you, read the readme to know how to use the packages so you don't run into issues. And then lastly, I'll advise you put in more time in learning. You build up projects, minimal projects, little projects here and there. It could be calculator, it could be with the app. Try on your own, try to build it on your own from start to finish, and also really get comfortable reading the Flutter documentation. The documentation never lies. Documentation is the truth, so really get comfortable reading Flutter documentations, and then I'll see you on the other side after you've gotten your first Flutter job. Thanks for watching. Do well to like, subscribe, and leave your feedback. Thank you.